going to strangle myself with these wires one day. Every wire when you podcast feels like too long. I don't need to be that far away from anything that I'm using, but okay, welcome back to Uncovery Podcast. It's going to be a little bite today, so no guest, you just get me. And yeah, it's going to be a little stream of consciousness, a little check-in, and a couple of things that have been occurring to me that I've been thinking about. And yeah, let's get to it. Today in Maddie Tries and Challenges New Milks, I have my coffee and it has pea milk today. And yes, that it is milk made of peas. And RIP to the marketing team that has to sell this and pitch this to people, because it sounds like the worst thing ever. There's no getting around that. But I think they actually call it, what do they call it? So it's like plant-based beverage made from like the magic of peas, or made from the goodness of peas. Still, really tough sell. But I decided to try it because I've been making the rounds basically through all of these different types of more challenging milks that I have not had before. And it is good. It's good. It's not my favorite. It doesn't top oat milk by any means, but definitely worth trying, even to just say that you have tried pea milk and get the questions and the weird looks that you will get as a result. Okay, to start off with, some of the stuff that's been coming up for me, or that I've been thinking about, actually stemmed from the last week's Silver Linings kind of fundraising that I was doing. And if you didn't see it and you're just listening, I essentially put out a video on social media, and it was Eating Disorder Awareness Week, which I think I mentioned at the intro or in the last couple episodes. But it was Eating Disorder Awareness Week, and I decided to match donations that people would send in for the week, who would, send me a screenshot of what they sent in, and then I would match it up to basically my monthly income, just to make sure that I can still, afford food, because that is a thing that I need, especially now. And then that I would also add 10 to the pool for any social media share of the video. And it was to me, such a success. We raised nearly $3,000, and I was astounded by just like the breadth of the different people that reached out and did that and shared, and the people that donated, and like it was really incredible. And I was really proud of it and really, really grateful. But then I sort of had this weird imposter feeling about it, where even though I was so grateful and excited, like watching the video of myself sort of brought up for me that I do not appear to be recovering. I feel like an imposter in recovery sometimes. And I've talked about this before, this sort of, you're always feeling like you're failing. You're either failing at recovery or you're failing at the eating disorder. And they seem to be happening at the same time when you're in recovery, because you're defying the things that pull you back into the eating disorder. But you're also like not perfectly recovered yet. Like you're not doing everything. And so for me, it was this: you're not recovering fast enough. You're not recovering well enough. People are going to be sick and tired of you talking about this, because you're, clearly not better, even though I'm like miles ahead of where I was, and so determined and continue to be. I'm like, it feels like a fraud. It feels like imposter syndrome in eating disorder recovery. So, why am I still doing stupid things like having incredible anxiety when I can't figure out what the calories of something are, when I know the whole point is to eat more and to not care about those things? Like, why am I still like having borderline panic attacks about not being able to find nutritional information about something? That's not what a recovered person does. And so I was struggling with that idea of being an imposter in recovery and trying to give myself grace. But it really then sort of got me thinking about identity and the way that when you have an eating disorder, if you have it, especially over time, it starts to become more and more a part of you, and it feels more and more ingrained. And then it becomes very difficult to tease apart which parts of me are eating disorder parts and which parts of me are me. And when I don't have that eating disorder anymore, who then is left? Who is she? And that, and that's sort of the whole point of this uncovery rather than recovery, is that, okay, well, like, how do we uncover who that person is on the other side? But being so tied to recovery, especially right now, because it is such a full-on, full-time thing for me, I think I had been feeling very wrapped up in being a recovering person, being an eating disorder person, and forgetting to remind myself and maybe even remind others that, like, I am still Maddie and I was always Maddie. Like, there's literally nothing that's changed. I'm just doing better now. I'm just doing more good things for myself and talking about it more, I guess, and sharing about it more. But the person is still me. I'm no different. So that's been something that I've been sort of thinking about, is this idea of like identity, like who am I to other people, and I still want to be me to you and to everyone. So yeah, that was a bit of what I was dealing with. And then yesterday, I had this really incredible experience that sort of tied directly into it. So, kismet timing. But I was out for a yoga and a coffee with a new friend, and she'll definitely be on the podcast at some point, so that'll be soon. But I also hadn't been at a real life yoga class, like an in-person one, since before the pandemic. So it was just so cool to be in a yoga studio again. But we were out for coffee and we had this like lovely chat, and I went home and it was so nice. And I was like kind of having that, it's like after a first date glow, but it's like when it's a friend, it is always, to me, first dates with new gal pals are always far more stressful to me than first dates with dudes, because I actually care a lot more about like, does this person like me, want to hang out with me again? So that's just like an aside, is that I always find girl dates like, oh, I care a lot about what this person takes away from this. But anyway, then I was back in my condo and I got a voice note from this person, and first of all, I love voice notes, so like 10 out of 10 on that. But she basically said, like, I want you to know that just because we bond over our commonality between, having experienced eating disorders and caring about recovery, being involved in this sort of like awareness and caring a lot about this, I want you to know that I don't just see you as your eating disorder. I see you for everything else that you are. And so it was so impactful to hear that. Because whatever, part of me really needed to have that heard, I guess, to really have that, really had to have that said, because I'd been sort of struggling with that. But being like, there's more to you, and this is not why we are going to be great friends. We are going to be great friends because of all these other things. So it was cool, and it was very, very special, and I will remember that. And when I have those moments of being like, am I stuck to this identity? It's like, no, you're still you. It's just something that you deal with, and it's something that you care about bringing awareness to. So that was that. And it was a good reminder also, I think, that there's a lot of impact in reaching out to people when you think of them or you think of something. It's like withholding a gift. If you think something about someone or you want to share something with them, especially a positive thing, and you don't give it and you don't say it, it's like stealing to not give that. And it reminded me of that too, where it's like, I don't know. I think we do expect people to reach out to us if they need something. We do that a lot when we know people are struggling or something we've heard that they're going through. We're like, oh my gosh, like, let me know if you need anything. And we sort of put it on them to let us know, when really I think it means a lot to say, I want to do something. Can you tell me what it is that it should be? Like, I'm going to help. Like, tell me how. And they might say nothing, right? But they might actually, then that might be an open window or an open door for them to actually ask. And then to check in without somebody having to reach out to be like, hey, how are you? And like mean it, rather than waiting for someone to be like, hello, I am struggling very much. Please help. Because most of the time people don't do that. So yeah, just a little reminder, like, reach out to your pals, reach out to your friends to be like, hey, how are you doing? How you doing? So that was most of what I wanted to talk about today. This is going to be a very little bite. The only other thing that I'd really been practicing this week and really learning about the importance of is to practice showing up for yourself. So doing the thing that you do not feel like you want to do, but know that it's for you. So I really didn't want to go to group therapy this week. I feel like, have I said this before? I'm like, is this every week that I do this? I don't feel like it. But I absolutely was like, I do not want to go. I do not want to go. I do not want to go. And I went back and forth like 100 times in my head that morning, being like, no, I'm just like not going to show up. I'm just like not going to go. And then this little voice being like, we don't do that anymore because we do all the things now in recovery. Like we know that if you go, that it in some way will help. Like, you might not learn anything, but like, it's good for you to do this. You should go. You're going to feel guilty if you don't. And so I did this 1,000 times. And then at some point I was like, okay, I was trying to negotiate with myself, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go, but I can leave like 5 minutes early. I'll just like tell them I have to get to something and that I need to leave 5 minutes early. That's just to give myself like an out of some kind to convince myself to go. And so I go to group, and it's all online, right? And like, so I go and I just show up and I just practice just doing the thing. Because I had seen this video, I think the day before, that was about this guy that was trying to change this habit, I think, of going to the gym, but he would just go for 2 minutes and then go home. He would go for 2 minutes at the beginning. He would just go, drive to the gym, go in, do like half an exercise, and then go home. And he wasn't going to obviously make a ton of progress in the gym physically, but mentally setting himself up for that habit was about showing up for himself and just practicing showing up for himself. And that was the mentality that then I was thinking about and need to remember and adopt and have been thinking about a lot. When I don't want to do something, it's like, that's okay, but just like practice showing up. Just practice showing up for yourself and not giving up and not taking the default route that you usually do. So that, I think, is huge. And I think we can probably all think of things that we're like, I don't know, but just like practice showing up. And if you have to give yourself an out in order to get yourself to agree to do that, be like, I'm only going to do this for 2 minutes. I don't know, like meditation or something, or journaling, right? I'm going to write 2 lines. I'm going to write 2 words. That I think all you can do then is just start. And that's how all of the best patterns and habits and behaviors can continue to grow, is to just show up for yourself first, even if you don't feel like it all the time. So those are my little week check-ins the last couple of weeks. But I wanted to say another big thank you to anybody who shared, donated, even who watched the video. It had like something like 3,000 people had watched it between the different sort of platforms that I had posted it on. So that was really cool. And everybody really showed up, not even for themselves, for for silver linings and for all of us that are in recovery and that care about this stuff. So that was massive. That was massive. And I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, yeah, really, really thankful. So that's it for this week. Little bite. And I hope you're having a wonderful week. We'll be back with a new and exciting guest next Wednesday. So everybody take care, and we'll talk to you next time.